In the previous video, we talked about the law of comparative advantage. From that discussion, it was pretty evident the gains that are made from specialization and exchange. Now, a more interesting case is if you're better or faster at both tasks. Suppose the example we used in the video changes in only one respect. Your significant other takes 12 minutes to iron a shirt compared with your 10 minutes. You now have an absolute advantage in both tasks, meaning each task takes you less time than it does your significant other. In general, having an absolute advantage means making something or producing something using fewer resources compared to other producers, as they require more. So I suppose it begs the question, does your absolute advantage in both activities mean specialization is no longer a good idea, or is it no longer required? Well, let's recall that the law of comparative advantage states that the individual with a lower opportunity cost of producing a particular good should specialize in that good. You still take 30 minutes to create that one thing of content and 10 minutes to iron a shirt. So your opportunity cost of creating the content remains at 3 iron shirts. Your significant other takes an hour to create that one thing of content and 12 minutes to iron a shirt. So your significant other could iron 5 shirts in the time it takes to create one thing of content. Your opportunity cost of creating that one thing of content is ironing 3 shirts. For your significant other, it's ironing 5 shirts. Because your opportunity cost of content creation is lower than your significant others, you still have a comparative advantage in content creation. Consequently, your significant other must have a comparative advantage in ironing. Therefore, you should do all the content creation and your significant other should do all the ironing. Although you have an absolute advantage in both tasks, your comparative advantages call for specializing in the task for which you have the lower opportunity cost. If neither of you specialized, you could create one thing of content and have 3 iron shirts. Your significant other could just create one thing of content. Your combined output would be 2 things of content and 3 iron shirts. On the other hand, if you specialize, you end up with both things of content and 5 iron shirts. So even though you are better at both tasks than your significant other, you are comparatively better at content creation. But put another way, although your significant other is worse at both tasks, they aren't quite as bad at ironing shirts. Now, don't think this is common sense, because common sense would lead you to doing both ironing and content creation because you have an absolute advantage. That is because you are better at both. Absolute advantage focuses on who uses the fewest resources, but comparative advantage focuses on what else those resources could produce. That is, on the opportunity cost of those resources. Comparative advantage is a better guide to who should do what. Comparative advantage, though, doesn't apply to just individuals, but companies, regions of countries, or countries with the lowest opportunity cost of producing a particular good should specialize in producing that good. Because of such factors as climate, workforce skills, natural resources, and capital stock, certain parts of the country and certain parts of the world have a comparative advantage in producing particular goods. For instance, my home state, Washington State, should produce apples to Florida's oranges, and software in India to hardware in Taiwan. Resources are allocated most effectively across the country and around the world when production and trade conform to the law of comparative advantage.